All right, everybody. Welcome to Fantasy Football Live with the Fantasy Sports Boss. It's been a while. How's everybody doing? This is 27th. We got the NFL Combine coming up next week, NFL free agency right beyond that. And there's a lot of chatter already about both subjects that I'm going to get into a little bit today. And I thought it would be a good idea just to come on. I haven't done a live stream in a while, and, really I've been putting out some videos a lot more sporadically, obviously, since the season ended. But the pace of things is really going to start to accelerate now that the Super Bowl is over. And like I said, we have the NFL Combine at the end of this week, going through the weekend and into next week. And that is a time usually as well where the teams are all together under one roof, and chatter turns into eventual action in terms of signings. So, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Robert Woods, who's released, guys who can sign right now, they're probably going to be the first dominoes to fall, specifically talking about Carr and Woods and, the Aaron Rodgers, whether he gets traded or not, we're about to find out. And then the NFL draft too. There's a lot of chatter now about the Chicago Bears, specifically what's going to go on with that number one draft pick. According to Adam Schefter, they're going to trade it. And this is something I had first referenced weeks ago. My assumption or my premise was that the Bears, if they have a feeling for one of these quarterbacks, whether it's, Will Levis, whether it's CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, you want to shoot for the moon there. Who knows? Maybe that they decided, okay, we grade those guys higher than Justin Fields. Let's trade Justin Fields and use the number one overall pick on one of these quarterbacks. That's not happening. Now, according to Schefter, the Bears are going to trade this number one pick. And you're going to have the Carolina Panthers. You're going to have the Indianapolis Colts. Hell, maybe even the Houston Texans want to jump a spot to get the quarterback that they want. And it's entirely possible. And so we're going to be hearing a lot about this. Also, the Atlanta Falcons. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, in terms of that number one pick. And for me personally, I think it's a no-brainer for Chicago. I mean, they need help on the line. They need help on defense, both lines, the offensive and defensive line. They need weapons for Justin Fields. David Montgomery's probably not going to come back. He's a free agent, I believe. So they need help everywhere. Now, what do I think they can get for the number one pick? I think they can get 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and probably 2 thirds. That would be the going rate. So I think that's what the Bears are going to strive for and shoot for, to get 2 number one picks and 2 second round picks at least. And then probably get some thirds and maybe a 4th thrown in as well. Maybe it's 2 thirds or maybe it's 1 third and a 4th, who knows, but they're going to get a lot. And keep your eye on the Carolina Panthers. David Tepper has grown increasingly frustrated with the team of late. He's got more money than God. They need a quarterback desperately. Sam Darnold is really just a placeholder. I mean, he face planted as an early first round draft pick, both with the Jets and with the Panthers. Really, I mean, he wasn't awful, but that they really didn't allow him to do much of anything last season anyway. So, I think that they're definitely going to be a factor, the Panthers. And also, listen, the Atlanta Falcons, Desmond Ridder is not the answer, in my opinion. All right. He's basically just a younger Marcus Mariota, as a guy who has very poor accuracy, just doesn't have a feel for the position. And I just think that he's just a stopgap option myself. I don't think he's the answer. So I think the Atlanta Falcons could be involved in. And, the Indianapolis Colts, Jim Irsay, their owner, tired of the old veteran retreat quarterbacks like Phillip Rivers and Matt Ryan. I think they could be one of those teams that could kick the tires on Anthony Richardson. And the thing with Richardson, it's really fascinating. So I've done a couple of videos on this already. Richardson's really starting to be that guy, that polarizing guy who will be the talk of the draft, one way or the other. And every year you get somebody that the draft community is sharply divided on, and that Richardson is that guy this year. Me personally, I'm not as big of a fan. His accuracy was not good at college. It wasn't good. So Richardson, he has a Michael Vick game to him. Now, Michael Vick wasn't a great pure passer. Same thing with Justin Fields. Sometimes they struggle hitting the broadside of a barn. But their explosive speed and athleticism like Vic had, like Justin Fields has. That's what Anthony Richardson brings to the table. And so he has vast upside. Cam Newton, there's another guy. When Cam Newton came out, there was a lot of discussion about him as a pure passer, and he came out and threw for 4,000 yards as a rookie. So, it's tough to nail down what Richardson's going to be. Ultimately, I've watched every single one of his start. All right. Now I put out my NFL draft guide that's been available on Amazon for months now. In the original write-up that I did on him, I have him as an early day 2 pick. That was months ago when I did the report. And again, like I say this every year, there's always guys, especially quarterbacks, that really shoot up exponentially draft boards, and Richard, maybe too much, but Richardson is that guy. So he's very polarizing. The tools are unbelievable. He has an absolute cannon for an arm. He could make any throw, and I mean any throw. That's how good his arm is. And right out of the gate, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback, based on pure speed. If we lined up all the quarterbacks in the NFL and made them run a 40-yard dash, Richardson's going to be in the top 2, top 3, top 4. Okay, it's that simple. He's beyond explosive, a true dual threat quarterback. That's what Richardson brings to the table. But I don't like guys who have accuracy issues coming into the NFL. Now, Josh Allen was the exception. All right, very few times a quarterback who struggles with accuracy in college is able to improve that in the NFL. I mean, look at Kyle Bowler, look at Jamarcus Russell, Akili Smith, Tim Couch, Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, all guys who had accuracy issues coming into the NFL weren't able to improve. All right. And Josh Allen had that as well. But Josh Allen, in his defense, has really improved exponentially as a passer. And I think Brian Daboll had a lot to do with that. He got good coaching, great coaching. And that really allowed Josh Allen to take off and really improve his accuracy. But there are some people who believe now that Anthony Richardson could be the number 1 draft pick, the number 1 overall draft pick, which is staggering to me. But I've also heard this about Will Levis of Kentucky, who, I have him as a 3rd-ranked quarterback. All right. So, it's hard to say. It really is. All it takes is one team to just throw the whole draft board into a tizzy. I like CJ Stroud a lot. I've made no secret how much I like CJ Stroud. He's got that classic build for a quarterback. Good accuracy. He balled out against Georgia, had a great game against Georgia. Talking about CJ Stroud, I think CJ Stroud would be a fantastic addition. I still think the Texans are going to wind up with him. And then you have, the Alabama kid there, Bryce Young, who I have right now is the number 1 quarterback. All right. So Bryce Young, excellent touch, excellent feel, smart player, gets the ball out quickly, uncanny accuracy. I'm talking about Drew Brees kind of accuracy. That's what Bryce Young has. So can I see him being the number 1 overall pick? 100%. Absolutely. If it was my team, I would take CJ Stroud, just because the one concern I have about Bryce Young is that he's small. He's only about 6 foot, 6'1", 180 pounds. That is very slight for an NFL quarterback. And I worry about his durability. All right. Talking about Bryce Young. But, to me, I think it's insane if Anthony Richardson winds up being the number 1 draft pick. That's just my opinion. And like I said, all it takes is one team to make it happen. So we got to see here, and like I said, I'm very curious to see what happens with the NFL Combine. Always a fun thing to watch. Anybody who's a real hardcore football fan loves the Combine. I love it. A lot of in the past, I used to wait to put out my NFL draft guide after the Combine. But now I put it out before the Combine because I don't want to be influenced by what happens on the Combine, because a lot of times you get guys who ball out in the Combine and then they're complete shitty NFL players. So, but I'm going to be watching it closely. Richardson will be at the Combine, and I'm really fascinated to see how well he does. If Richardson lights things up, he could be the number 1 pick. And past Bryce Young and past CJ Stroud, which I had no foresight of that happening when the college football season ended. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And with the Bears now willing to listen to that number 1 overall draft pick, I think that look for Carolina, look for Indianapolis, look for possibly Atlanta, hell, even Tampa Bay that could move up for that number one spot. So I did an earlier video speaking of Tampa Bay earlier today, discussing the Todd Bowles wish to have a Seattle run-based offense in 2023. Apparently, they're serious about going into the season with Kyle Trask, and I thought this is just god-awful news for Mike Evans, god-awful news for Chris Godwin, brutal news for any pass catcher in the Tampa Bay offense. Good news for Rachaad White? Yeah, I think so. It's hard to say how bad, how mediocre, I should say, White was as a runner last year, because he wasn't very impressive. And no Tampa Bay runner was, because the blocking was downright comical. Especially the interior of the Tampa Bay line was just decimated, going back to the start of training camp, Ryan Jensen being lost. So it's hard to say just how much White's struggle and Leonard Fournette, who's going to get released, how much their struggles were based on their ability or the offensive line, or a combination of the two. But Rachaad White is intriguing to me as somebody who wants to take Travis Kelce in the first round, as I do this season, and as somebody who wants to go wide receiver heavy, the first couple of rounds of the draft. Looking at Garrett Wilson, I'm looking at you, and Calvin Ridley as well. I'm very curious about Rachaad White, because like I said before, if I can get Travis Kelce with the first pick, or with my first round pick, and then in round two, snag a Garrett Wilson or a CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to make it to the second round, and then maybe go with a Calvin Ridley in round three. Get the dual threat quarterback in round four, whether it's Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, and then in round five, possibly get Rachaad White or Brian Robinson. I think that's a really good start to a PPR fantasy team. So, I've said it multiple times already. Kelce, if he's there in round one, I'm absolutely 100% taking him. The only decision that would give me pause on that is if Justin Jefferson's on the board. If I get the number one pick or number two pick and Jefferson's there, I would take him over Travis Kelce. Anybody else, I'm taking Kelce in round one. 100 more points than the next highest scoring tight end last season. You don't have to tell me. I know he's going to be 34, but I'm all in on Kelce next season. He helped me win a championship in one of my two leagues. So I'm going right back to the well with him. And then from there, Garrett Wilson, because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to end up being the quarterback. I think more and more and more that's going to happen. Aaron Rodgers with Garrett Wilson, that's going to be a sight to see. So Garrett Wilson is very heavy on my target list in round two. I love Calvin Ridley in this Jacksonville offense. Don't forget, Calvin Ridley caught 90 passes and, I believe it was double-digit touchdowns his last season in Atlanta. His last full season rather with Atlanta before he got suspended. So I'm a big Calvin Ridley fan. I could do that in round three. Round four, the dual threat quarterback, I want Trevor Lawrence. And then round five, I think Rachaad White or Brian Robinson. I think Brian Robinson could make it that far in round five, and I'll be fine with taking either one of them. I really don't want to invest in the running backs. It's burned me for a few years now. Jonathan Taylor absolutely hosed me. In ironically, the league that I won, I took Taylor number one overall. Gift to me. So I nailed that. Justin Fields as well. So, that bit of good fortune helped save me in that league, but I'm really going heavy, at receivers this year. Like I said, I really like Garrett Wilson. Some of the other news that came out today. So we talked about, I already had mentioned Carson Wentz in another video. So Sam Howell is going to be a person of interest. Joe Mixon. So the Athletics, Jay Morrison wrote that Mixon could be released. And, he got himself involved in another stupid off the field incident, again with a woman. And this is the same guy who knocked out a co-ed in college, just an absolute scumbag is Joe Mixon. This makes sense on a lot of fronts. Joe Mixon was not good last year, guys. I mean, he had the 50-plus game, 52-point game, whatever that was. You take that out, and he was pretty fucking mediocre. Like, he just wasn't good. And his age is getting up there. He's going to be 27. I think the Bengals want to get younger. I don't think they want to pay Mixon. So this makes sense to me. And I think they're also tired of the act. They're tired of him getting into trouble. I think this could very well happen. Now, Samaje Perine is free as well. I don't think Samaje Perine is a starting running back. But on a related front, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to get his walking papers by the Chiefs. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option. Now, he's still part of the team, but I think that they would trade him. Would the Cincinnati Bengals make a play for him? It's possible. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a talented player. I just he got off to a really good, the best stretch that Clyde Edwards-Helaire had as a professional was the first, month of his career with the Chiefs when he came out and as a bell cow back, and he did really well. But it just hasn't happened since then. But I think Edwards-Helaire is somebody who could reinvent himself, maybe in a Darren Sproles-like setting. Don't forget when he was at LSU, he caught 1 million passes. Andy Reid did not use Edwards-Helaire in that manner, which, he used Jerick McKinnon that way, which is fine because Jerick McKinnon is a very capable, talented pass receiving back. But I think it kind of cut Edwards-Helaire's feet out from under him and didn't allow him to showcase his optimum ability. So I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is somebody who in the right situation, could be solid again. And that's somebody, as a third running back, I would be willing to look at again. Do the Giants come after him? This whole thing with Saquon Barkley is getting interesting to me because, there's a lot of whispers that Barkley, and the Giants are too far apart right now on contract negotiations. Does Barkley leave? You have a lot of prime backs who are free agents. Tony Pollard is a free agent. You have Antonio Gibson. Intriguing. Antonio Gibson still is intriguing to me because he's been pretty good. He's got PPR-friendly ability. He's also a guy who's free agent. David Montgomery's a free agent. Don't get me started on him. You all know I don't like David Montgomery. But there's a very flush amount of free agent running backs that's going to make the market very interesting. The Green Bay Packers, they redid the contract of Aaron Jones, so Aaron Jones is going to stay there, so he's not going to come free. I thought he would be a possible salary cap casualty, but Jones stays in place. His age 28 season, he's going to split more and more work with A.J. Dillon. As much as I love Aaron Jones, I'm not revisiting that situation. I'm kind of done with that. You never know which guy's going to have more fantasy points each week, so I'm not chasing that anymore. So there's fewer and fewer running backs that I'm really going to target this season. I just want to pull up a list here for the backs. I know I've discussed this multiple times. Ramondre Stevenson is a guy I really like, even though he had a rough finish to the season. I want to look at the receivers again because I'm missing somebody. There were some key guys. Everybody has. Let me pull this up. Everybody has the my guys, the guys that they really want. So for next season at receiver, Justin Jefferson, of course I want Justin Jefferson. If I get a top 2 pick and he's there, I'm taking Justin Jefferson. I took him 4th overall in one of my 2 leagues last year. I didn't win that league, but his worst game of the season, he had 1 catch in the fantasy football championship. I didn't make the championship in that league, but it was just a weird ending to the season for him. But I'm back in on him. Tyreek Hill, I love what Tyreek Hill did last season, but him and Jalen Waddle are completely tied at the hip to Tua Tagovailoa's health, which we know is always checkered. So I'm not willing to do that. Davante Adams is 30 now. Quarterback questions now in Las Vegas. I'm not going to him. If I'm at the back of the end of first round, I'm taking Stephon Diggs. I'm going to take Jamar Chase in the middle of the first round if I don't get Travis Kelce. I love CeeDee Lamb at the end of round 1, beginning of round 2. Now that he's established himself as a wide receiver 1 with his first 90-plus catch season. Amon-Ra St. Brown, like him a lot, even though he's not in that Stephon Diggs, Davante Adams, Jamar Chase tier. Don't listen if anybody puts him in that tier because he's not. He's a slot guy, doesn't have the yardage and the touchdown totals as those guys I mentioned. I do like Devontae Smith in round 2 as a PPR receiver. I think he was fantastic. No to Christian Kirk now that Calvin Ridley's there. I love Calvin Ridley. I love Garrett Wilson. Those 2 guys I'm absolutely in love with. If Chris Godwin gets traded somewhere, that's attractive. I'm back in on him. I'm done with Mike Evans. T. Higgins, if he gets traded, and there's a lot of rumors that he's going to get traded, maybe to the Giants or to the Bears, a receiver needy team, I would really be interested in T. Higgins, who I think is a fantastic player. Michael Pittman had the quietest 99 catch season you will ever see. 925 yards, 4 touchdowns, 99 catches. I had no idea Pittman caught that many balls because the Colts are just so god awful. But I'm not chasing him again. Let me rephrase that. If one of the quarterbacks, if CJ Stroud or Bryce Young end up in Indy, then I would do it. If it's Richardson or Levis, I'm not doing it. I love Chris Olave. I'm curious too. Who ends up with Chris Olave, who I think is a wide receiver, future wide receiver 1, ready to happen as soon as this season, depending on the quarterback. DJ Moore. Always love DJ Moore. Depends again which quarterback they bring in. If it's Bryce Young, if it's CJ Stroud, I'm in. If it's Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, I'm out for next season. Cooper Kupp. Listen, Matthew Stafford's back. He's gonna, zero in on Kupp again. I'll take Cooper Kupp. I'll do it for one more season for sure. Drake London, I can't do it in that offense. Jacoby Myers, I did a video yesterday. You all know I like Jacoby Myers. If he ends up in the right spot, I'm there with him. Deontay Johnson, love the player, hate the offense. Not happening with me there. Mike Williams, I think his ADP is going to drop. So I'm in on Mike Williams if the price is right. Gabe Davis, no way. Deebo Samuel, no way. Tyler Boyd, if I'm gonna go right back in on Tyler Boyd if T. Higgins gets dealt. Keenan Allen, very worried about him. Big fan of him in the past, but he's just getting too old for me now. Marquise Brown, nope, not in that offense. DeAndre Hopkins could get traded to a really good spot. I think they're going to trade him. That could be interesting to me. So those are the receivers that I really, really like going into the upcoming season. As far as the running backs, I've done this many times. Ramondre Stevenson, Dameon Pierce. I'm all in on these young running backs. Josh Jacobs, depending where he goes, I'll take Josh Jacobs again. Saquon Barkley is going to be 26. I'm good with him. Ramondre Stevenson, yes. Tony Pollard, yes. Miles Sanders, maybe, depending where he goes. I talked about Ramondre Stevenson. I like Brian Robinson. Bijan Robinson as a rookie. Bijan Robinson is the best rookie running back, is the best running back prospect since Saquon Barkley. So get ready to pay the freight there. And Antonio Gibson, like him too. Hopefully he ends up in a good spot. So these are all questions that are going to be answered in the next couple of weeks with free agency. Going to be a ton of videos, guys. Get ready. Hit the subscribe, hit the like and notification button, because when these signings happen, instant analysis when these guys sign on the dotted line during free agency. Make sure you do that. NFL draft, can't wait to do that live stream with you guys during the NFL draft as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe, hit the notification, like button. And we have the NCAA tournament. All right. So those of you who know me from the ESPN, I finished in the top percentile 2 of the last 3 years in the ESPN bracket challenge, nailed 3 of the final 4 teams last year, plus picked the winner in Kansas. I'm going to do that special bracketology. Don't miss it. I know the ESPN does a bracketology. I know that CBS Sports does. Make sure you watch mine, because I have endless amounts of stats that help you pick the perfect bracket. Not perfect, meaning you get them all right, but the bracket that will help you win, have the best chance to win. So make sure you arrive for that Monday after the bracket is announced. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of exciting things. NFL Draft Guide is available on Amazon. Fantasy Football Early Offseason Edition, that guide is coming out within the next couple of weeks. And then the post-draft edition Fantasy Football Guide will come out after the draft. So a lot of stuff, a lot of exciting times. I'm going to have a lot of great content for you. So again, hit that subscribe button. All right, guys, short stream today. Just wanted to check in with you all. Have a great day. We will talk soon.